For a while now, my favorite way to color my illustrations is with the Riso brushes, and that is why I picked them to be in my super mega illustration pack with Retro Supply Co. If you see this video as I'm posting it, you can get 50% off the pack for the launch of this brush jumble. Use the promo code Piascik Power, and I'll put that in the description below. So in this video, I thought I would walk through the process for coloring one of my illustrations using these Riso brushes in Procreate. One of the great things about the Riso brushes in Procreate specifically is that they're a little bit less complicated than their Photoshop Fresco counterparts. With those brushes, there are brushes for each of your different colors. So it's like Riso color 1, and then you have 10 through 100%. The percentages relate to the coverage of the ink for that color. In Procreate, the brushes have a little bit more randomization, I guess. So you only need brushes, one set of brushes that is just based on the coverage, the 10% to 100%. 10% being the lightest coverage, 100% being the densest coverage of that color. If that sounds a little confusing, don't worry about it. I'm gonna walk you through it in this demo. It's a pretty simple illustration so that you can see how these colors overlap and the unique combinations you can get. I'll show you the Riso messer-upper brushes that are also in the set to add some extra punk rock street cred to your illustrations. It's a lot of fun. Let's dive into it. Thanks. So to get ready to use the Riso brushes here, I just went ahead and did the colors for my image on separate layers. This way it's easier for me to select them and fill them in using the Riso brushes all at once. You can see that I have them named by the colors that I'm going to use, so the pink, blue, and the yellow. This color palette is also one of the ones that is in the color palette system guide that comes with the Retro Supply Co kit. I don't remember what number it is, but you'll see it. You'll see it in there. You'll notice that I didn't label the lines in the background because I'm actually not going to use separate colors for those. I'm going to make the background by layering the pink and the blue, and I'm going to make the lines by layering all three colors to get my darkest color. Doesn't matter what color you start with, I'm just going to start with the pink. On that layer menu, I will choose select and load that as a selection, and then I'll make a new layer, and then on this new layer, I'm going to choose a Riso brush and then make the brush as big as it can go, and then just color in until all of the selected area is filled in. So I think I'll go with the 90% here to get a pretty solid fill, but not fully 100%. I think I'll save that for the line work. And I just color this all in. And again, I do it all in one shot because if you lift and come back down, these Riso brushes are going to layer on top and darken that color, just like if you had two layers multiplying over each other. And then I'm going to set my layer to multiply because I do want each layer, each color to multiply over the other colors so that we can blend them to make new colors. So we'll go ahead and select the blue from the blue layer, make a new layer, and then I will grab another brush. I'll stick with the 90% here, and then I'll just fill this in with the blue. And now we got two colors down. We'll do the same for the yellow. New layer. Set it to multiply, fill it in with the yellow. I think I'll do 100 for the yellow because I want it to be nice and punchy. So now we have each of our color layers, and what I need to do is put the line work on each color so that we can make a darker color mixing all three colors. So I will load a selection of the line work, and then on each of the color layers, I will go in with 100% Riso brush and just fill it all in. And then that combination will give us a line color that doesn't involve introducing a line color, if you will. It's a pretty good green from this yellow and blue, I have to say. I like that. Making your line work from these colors gives a much more interesting and retro look than just going with a straight black. So now for the background, this one is going to be a little tricky because we need to remove stuff from that fill, so we're not coloring on top of stuff that we already have. So I'm going to go ahead and erase the line work and the other fill colors from this shape. Okay, so now that we've gotten everything removed from that background layer that we want, can go ahead and load this as a selection just like I did with the other colors. And then I'm going to go back to the pink layer and then choose a brush. I think I'll go with a lighter brush for this one, maybe the 60%, and then we'll just fill this all in the background. And you'll see this has a nice contrast between the 100% saturation on the line work and then the 80% on the other ones. So we'll do the same thing on the blue layer. I think we'll go down to a 50% for this one, see what that looks like. And I think that is a pretty cool blue purpley color like that. And now that I'm seeing it, I think I want to go ahead and darken the first ha and maybe the okay. Well, first I got to fix these eyes. We accidentally left the eyes in the background layer, but that's no big deal. You can just go ahead and load that selection from the line work and then just erase it out of those two layers. It's easy to troubleshoot problems like this when you have those original layers to work from. I want to darken that first ha. So what I'm going to do is go onto that original layer, load that part as a selection, and then I can go to the magenta layer or the pink layer. It's not really magenta. And then choose a brush and then color over that. I think I'll go with a darker one here to get a nice punchy dark blue. And I think that looks good. I think we should do the same thing for the okay. So go ahead and select the okay lettering, and then we can come back to the blue layer and then fill that in. So I think I want to go ahead and make the by lettering white, knock it out of the background. So we'll just load that selection and then go ahead and erase it out of the blue layer. I think that looks pretty good. It balances the ha's and the face, adds a little more contrast, a little more balance. I think the cloud would look better if it didn't have that full saturation dark line work. I think if it was that blue color, I think it would look nice. So all I'm going to do is go into my yellow layer and just go ahead and erase those lines around the cloud. And now we've got a blue color for the cloud outline and makes it feel a little bit more fluffy cloud, a little bit lighter. So I think that's looking good, but I think it would look even better if it was a little bit lighter. So I'm going to grab the eraser and use one of the lighter coverage Riso brushes and then erase some of the magenta to make that blue even lighter. So now the next step is to mess this up a little bit, add a little bit more texture and grit using some of these Riso messer-upper brushes. I like to do this one layer at a time. So I'll just start with the pink here and then just start playing around, adding some of these misprints, printing errors, fingerprints, textures. I like to do a combination of painting with these or just like adding them in as a drawing, but also using them as an eraser to break up some of it even more. And this is going to allow the colors when they overlay to have some cool effects where, you know, you get different colors depending on how they overlap and interact with each other. This process is usually pretty willy-nilly for me, just sort of playing and then seeing what it looks like in the end, which I think is a good thing because these are imperfections and mix-ups from actual Riso prints, so it should be more random, I think. So I'll go ahead and turn on all the colors again and see what it looks like. I think that looks pretty rad. What do you think? Got some cool, crazy color thing happening in the leg. I like that. And then one last thing I'll sometimes do is go in and use some of these shader brushes to just add a little bit of depth, maybe a little bit of shadow. I know this work is very 2D, so I'm not going overboard. I'm not trying to render anything, but just having some tone on like the front side of the chest and under the arm, maybe a little separation in the fluffs of a cloud. And to do this, if I want to put shadow on the blue, I'll just add some pink on the pink layer, and then that'll darken up that area, make it a little bit more purple. And on the white, because I want it to have blue, I could just do a little bit of blue there. You can kind of do it however you want. Maybe we could put some pink in the eyes to give them a little bit more form. And then I like to just offset the colors a little bit. I'll usually just do this with the lightest color. As you can see, when you try to do it with like the pink and the blue, it tends to get a little too hard to look at, a little bit 3D. And that's that. I'm happy with these results. I think we should go ahead and paste this into one of the paper textures to make it even more analogorific, a little more real deal. Riso field. So I'm going to go ahead and swipe on all three of these color layers, drag them down a little bit, and then hit the gallery, and then go find the paper texture and just drop it onto that file. We just need to go back in and set our layers back to multiply because for whatever reason, they don't stay that way. I'm just going to move these into a little group and put them below so that we can control the effects of the different features of the paper texture, which allows us to adjust the ink coverage and the texture, saturation, and all that stuff. So now with that below, we can go into this menu and just kind of adjust the opacity on each of these so that we can fine tune this to get the results that we want. I think that looks pretty good to me. I'm happy with this result. Hopefully this made this process a little less confusing, and you should try it out. It's a lot of fun. If you follow my work, you'll notice that I do so much stuff with these Riso brushes. They're really my favorite. All right, good talk.